Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross, what's the story with the mustache before we start off the show and introduce the guest?
Man, we are doing Movember. I decided I'd start off Movember with the ridiculous mustache already there, ready to rock. And today we are being joined by undefeated, Drogheda's own Ciaran Clarke. And for those of you who are listening outside of Ireland, Drogheda's a lovely place in Ireland.
Cheers. Thanks a million for coming on the show, Ciaran.
Cheers, lads. Thanks very much for having me.
Yeah,
Anytime. How's things going for you? How's your whole training regime going during this lockdown 2.0?
Yeah, I kind of just picked up from where we were in May or June, I suppose. It's just been the same, lads, really. I was back, I took a week off after Paris, and then I was back 2 days in the gym, and then the gym was shut, so it's just back to the old, back to part-time runner, and I'm very lucky. I have my brother at home here, so Silva's get a bit of training after he's at home from college and working the whole lot. So, look, we'll just have to make do what we're given, you know. So,
yeah.
So, do you wait for him to come in the door then, and then like shoot in a double leg on him, and you're like, "Let's go, pal."
Yeah, exactly. Dagestani handcuff, then,
yeah. That's it.
Ciaran, like obviously you came off a great win there over in Paris. And then when I was looking at your stories after, I saw the Clarke household just on wheels celebrating. Like when you saw that video, what was that like?
Yeah, it's a mad one because they had a lot over in the house and the whole lot, and yeah, it's great to look at. And the little nephew, he was watching at home as well. He's be 2 now in June, and like he's nutsy. So it was good to see them how they were reacting the whole lot. It was just a shame the way everything turned out with this pandemic, but I'll be honest, like I'm so lucky, you know, as ourselves, the way the shows have all gone, that I got the 2 in this year, so I'm just so happy, to be honest.
Yeah, Ciaran, can you tell us how it all started as well? Because obviously you're doing brilliant now in Bellator 3-0. Like how did you start just to come from Drogheda?
Yeah, well, I kind of dabbed a bit in boxing maybe a few months at a time. Actually, there's a main boxing gym in Drogheda, Holy Family. One of my brother's mates was doing it at the time, so we kind of went up for him, and then we dabbed in another one then, just a few months at a time. My brother had 1 or 2 fights, but it was nothing serious. It was just like literally it was a few months at a time. Now, in fairness, we loved it, but we just never went back. I was like 12, 13, so you're kind of getting to that age, and you know yourself, if you don't fully love it or commit to it, then you're in and out of it, you know. So
yeah.
And then after that, then I was in school. I was about 15, going on 16. My mates were doing it at the time when I was in school, and they were like, "Oh, I should try. We're doing MMA, you know." And it was only kind of coming about back then. That's about over 9 years ago now, and it was only coming about then. And like they were training away, and they were telling me, "Oh, we're training. We're looking to get in fights, and you should come out and try it. You'd be good," and the whole lot. And I said, "Oh, sure, I might as well go out and try." And went out with the lads, got the lift there. It was about 15 minutes drive outside my house. So it's kind of like dropped us to town, and then the gym is the country. Like, so we went out, and first training session, I went with the 2 lads that I was training with. My mates from school. But I was always very stubborn, very, very stubborn. And sure, I went with them, you know, like a roll at the end of the session. And sure, like, I got them like in a headlock or something. I tapped them out. And I was like, no way, these boys these are doing it a few months, and I'm coming in tapping them out, and I haven't a clue. So like, maybe I could be good at this or whatever. But then the few months gone by, and I only realised that the boys were only telling me fibs. They weren't training much at all, like, you know.
Yeah, okay.
He got me put in the door anyway, and then ever since then, just kept training. And yeah, it's just, I suppose then it just came at I still got to about maybe 18, and I was like, right, look, this is what I want to do then, you know. So.
Yeah.
And what'd your parents say when you were like, "I'm going to be an MMA fighter"?
They're like, me too.
Well, I never really said that to them, to be honest, because I think, I don't know, it was just like, you see, I live at home with my mum here in the house, and there's the brother and 2 sisters, and then a nephew then, and yeah, like, as far as my parents was, like, I never really said, look, I'm going to be, because I knew at the time it was like, that was ridiculous, you know, like, they were like, you know, that's ridiculous, like, not, like, maybe they didn't think that, but that's what I thought in my head, they would think that, you know. So I was like, you know, I just kind of kept that to myself, like, I'm going to just train away. Like, I went to like PLC course after school. I went to Outreach, and then I went to a PLC course, and like I was just doing that just to be like doing it. I knew I was never gonna do, like, I think I did like something like 400 design, and then I did sports, but I knew I never was gonna, like, I was always, my focus was to become professional, but I never said to them, look, I'm gonna go for this. But I think they kind of knew the way I was taking it so serious, and they were like I was fighting at the time. They were like, right, he's having a go at it, like.
Yeah. And how did the Bellator then call come about? Obviously, you were making a scene, name for yourself on the regional scene and that, but not many fighters are 2-0 and then get the call from one of the biggest MMA promotions in the world.
Well, actually, I was doing the IMAF tournaments at the time, and that was the goal, that, like, to win them, or at least the very least medal at them. And I was competing. I did the Worlds 3 times. I did the Europeans twice. Unfortunately, I just got to that fight before the medal, and I always come up short by decision. And yeah, that was my goal. I did the whole buzz of it, and like, it was the dream to be on that podium with the tricolour, represent your country, fighting abroad, fighting the best guys from each country in the world, and to hear the national anthem on the podium with the medal. Like, that was the goal, And then I was doing them. I come up short, and I won some fights, took some losses. Like, the experience I gained from that was priceless. Like, and then after that, I think, at 24 amateur fights. And John was like to me, he took me in his office one day. He said, "Ciaran, like, are you looking to go pro or what?" Like, And I think he was, I think he was like, are you looking to actually go, or you want to stay amateur? And I was like, no, I want to. Like, I just wanted to. I told him the crack. I just sat down, and he was like, look, I think it's time. And then I actually ended up. I started off in Bellator. I got the contract before I got the contract straight away, and I was like, no way, look, maybe I didn't medal, but it paid off, didn't it? I built a name for myself, and now I'm starting off my pro debut on Bellator in the 3 Arena. It was unbelievable. Like, so I suppose it broke my heart, really, really did, and it still does to this day. But it paid off in the end. Maybe if I had a 1-1 or bronze, silver, and I would have, like, pro too early and then took a couple losses, who knows? But I stayed the course, and it paid off me in the end.
Absolutely, man. And at the end of the day, there's money in your bank account now for the better for it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, people remember for winning world championships on the pro scene. So you're already 3-0. You're making your way towards the belt, I suppose, already. It's sort of mad to see. But like you said, I'd say one thing that definitely plays in your favour is, I think you said 24 amateur fights and 3 pro fights. I mean, that means, when you step foot into that cage, you're comfortable in there. A lot of people, when they turn pro, might only have 4 or 5 amateur fights. Like, you're almost a seasoned veteran at 3-0, which is incredible to think.
Yeah, it's a matter. It is. To be honest, it only, like, it really is. When I'm starting off, I used to, and it's the worst thing when you're starting off. You hate to hear it. It's like, it's all experience. And I'm like, no, I want to be winning, and I want to be, but it's actually really, like, I would say that now to someone coming up. It really is all experience. If you're in this for the long haul, you have to get the experience, and you have to feel comfortable in there. And to be honest, just as you said, I walked out into that fight there today. I've done it all. I've fought the guy in the hometown, which I done that. I fought the Russian, fought the Brazilian, fought the number 1 in the world. I fought these guys. I've beaten them. I've lost to them. I've seen every style. I've been main event of amateur fights. In draw that I've done it. I've done it. So that's priceless. And some guys haven't experienced that. When it gets to the big stage, then I was ready for it. And again, as I said, it paid off for me.
Well, what age are you now, Ciaran?
I'm 25 now.
25. So you're almost like a seasoned veteran at 25, and having fully served your apprenticeship in the amateur scene. Now, like, 3-0. Myself and Ross are like looking at stuff about your background, and Ross, you want to just sort of say what we came across?
Yeah, we just saw that you're very much against sort of the drug scene in youth across Ireland, and specifically Drogheda, and you're almost, making waves for a different path for the youth of the country, that, you know, these young lads, you don't have to be out dealing drugs to be a tough lad. You know, you can go into the cage and, you know, almost settle your differences there, or like learn a new skill, or, you know what I mean, become a martial artist as opposed to become a thug. What were your thoughts behind that, and like what sort of brought you to those conclusions, and what on that journey yourself?
Well, we won't have enough time for that, but I'll keep it short. Basically, why I actually started was because at the time I was about 13, 14. I was 15. I was growing up in Drogheda. Like, it's a big place, Drogheda, but it's small, if that makes sense. So like, there's the far, we call where I am. I'm my side, and we call them the far side. So like, there's always like kind of like disputes, say, between different estates, and it was just normal stuff, like, you know, when you're growing up in Drogheda. And I was getting into, like, not getting into them, but like, you know, you have your disputes as a young fella with, you know, other lads your age, and this kind of cracking. And when I started, I was getting, like, it was getting to the stage where I was like, you know, I can't even go down and get my hair cut. I'm thinking about this now. If I'm going to bump into this fella, bump into that fella. Then I was like, you know what, I'm going to start this, because at the time MMA over 10 years ago, it was like, you know, it was like, you know, you knew magic. If you were doing that, it was like, right, no, don't mess with him. So I was like, you know, I'll do that. And if I do that, then it'd be like, you know what, you know, right, they're going to say, right, leave him alone. And it wasn't the case. I was getting bullied or anything. It was just like, I was getting sick of it, if that makes sense. And again, most teams will tell you that in Drogheda or anywhere in Ireland, it's just kid stuff, you know. But that's what I started. But then going through into that, into the drugs part, you know, when I was growing up, you know, the company I kept, and you know, all my mates were getting into drugs, and very early, I would say, you know, very, very young, like. And I was always like, I don't know what was in me, but I never done it. I never even tried it, to be honest. And I don't know what was inside me, but, and this before even I started MMA or anything, but there was no desire in me to do it. And then even then, as I started to get older, when I did get into the MMA and all that, I had positive role models to look up to, people that weren't doing it, the likes of like Conor McGregor coming up, and like those guys that were chasing it. And I was like, and that's the thing of MMA I see as well with Gaelic and stuff. It's you know, kind of like I'm not just saying that with the Gaelic grind, but like on the lower level, I see like some of my mates, like, they have the championship after they wait for the few points. So it kind of goes hand in hand with, and that's good. That's socially good.
Yeah.
If
it's like that with the rugby as well.
Yeah, like for the MMA, you couldn't do that, because you have to be fully committed. You know, you're not out on the weekend having drinks or anything like that. So like, when all my mates were starting to get into all that, you know, early teens, middle, like, you know, 15, 16, I was kind of then the one, like, boys, cop one, you know, like, you don't have to be doing that. And then they started, like, to fizzle me out. They were like, sure, he's annoying as hell. You know, no one wants to hear that.
Yeah.
And then you start to get about 18, 19, and they see, that's when it started kind of, you know, people my age, it was the drug dealing then. And then I was like, right. And then it's getting to your early 20s, and like, I'll be honest, it is like, not many know, but has affected me in certain ways that a lot, like, of my group of friends that I grew up with, and like, a lot of them ended up getting involved and getting into it. And it was just I'm not sure why, or it was maybe just the peer pressure of socially at the time. And, you know, they got into anime, and, you know, a lot of things happened as far as, like, you know, drug bills are brought up. And I look, I won't get into it too much. I just seen the damage it done to my friends very close to me. And and I was like, you know what, this is it. And then obviously we seen with the feud and draw that. And you know, these are lads you're growing up all your life, went to school with, and next later, you know, it's in the papers, and you're like, do you know what? It's just getting out of hand. And that's why it's so close to home, because I know so many, and, you know, that were involved. And lower level, not that anyone would have seen, you know, in the country, and it wouldn't have been the paper, but like lower level, like, it was always like little things are happening all the time, you know, in different estates and around me. And, you know, so I was like, you know what, I grew up with all these lads. I was around this all my life, every day of my teenage life, you know, the temptation of it was there for me. I am not different anyway. I live in a council house here with a single parent, you know, my brother here. like I'm gonna cancel to stay here. It's you know, it's quiet, mind you, but it's, you know, I grew up exactly that. I grew up with that type of group of people, and I was able to say no to it, and that's why I want to like bring to the young people now to say, look, I'm an example now. And to be honest, I just done my own thing. And that it's only kind of come up to me now, and people are saying to me like I'll be meeting people in the shop and like to be saying this stuff to me. I'm like, you know what? Like, I wouldn't have realized. I'm just like, no way, that's. And I'm like, I think I've nearly a responsibility now to actually say this now, because people like me don't realize what you're actually doing for the town. And I'm like, you know what? Jeez, I feel a bit of pressure then, you know, to actually say it. So, so that's kind of how that came about. But it was all I would have always been vocal about it anyway, but just not on the level of, you know, say getting onto a microphone or even at this here now, because I didn't think really, or I didn't know that the audience I could get to, you know. So suppose that's how that came about. Like,
And you like a local celebrity now in Drogheda? Like, do you have young kids stopping you look for pictures and stuff? Like, I'm not messing with you.
I get a little bit of that, all right. And I, you know, I couldn't really go to. I'm actually delighted with these masks now. I can hide the face a little bit, but I know it's nothing like that now. But now I'd be well known in that sense, like, you know, someone young and like, and again, the people of Drogheda, like, that's one thing. Like, it's, as I said, it's small, but it's the biggest town in Ireland, and like both sides of the town are really, really behind me, and like everywhere I go, I'm stopped to be talking to someone for 10 minutes. Like, my girlfriend would be going mad, like she'd be saying, well, you know, anywhere we go, it's just, I can't even go out for a bit to eat. Like, you know, you'd be chatting to someone. Now, it's not nothing, is it? Like, it's nothing, but it's just, it's in a good way, you know, and it's a good way, yeah.
So look, those people are going to be buying the Ciaran Clarke t-shirts for your next fight, so that's important, you know.
No, I'm not there yet. No, definitely not.
Ciaran, that's actually a brilliant thing to like be living by. You know what I mean? Because like even these days, like the amount of it seems like people younger and younger are starting doing drugs as well, and
yeah,
And dealing drugs.
yeah. Well, I actually said to one of the lads there the other day, like like myself and Ross are 30 now, right? And when we went to the Debs, like no one would have brought drugs really at all. And now, like if people went to the Debs just past, I say nearly everyone be on it. It's just crazy how the world's changed. But I mean, like,
yeah, no, like, you can even go back to that. Like, it was Halloween the other day, right? And like, actually, my mates just shared like photos from 10 years ago. We were all like, I was 15. We were all collecting it for the bonfire, you know, that kind of stuff when you're that age. And there's not many doing that now, I noticed, right? And I'm like, what happened? But then I realized that's what they're actually like. They're actually getting into it earlier. They're selling drugs earlier. They're realizing like these people they're grooming them earlier, and they're getting make their few quid. And so why would they go out and collect for a bonfire? That, you know, but back then that's all I could think about. You know, when you're that age, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, kids and now they're just getting. It's just getting worse. It's getting to a later age now that they're starting, and it's tough really. And I think that's where you have to intervene. I think maybe late teens, maybe a bit late. Look, you can, but I think it's earlier. You know, now you have to kind of intervene and get into their head. You know, so
they just need to be getting into stuff. And like obviously, social media can help and not help in certain ways. Like you can see people wearing the Balenciagas and the Gucci, and you're like, here, I fucking want that. You know, but like, but like what you're actually standing for is actually way more important, and that could actually, if that even helps one person, Ciaran, that's one person saved, you know. So,
well, that's what I mean. I think if someone could look to me and say, you know, look what Ciaran Clarke done, or like, sure, he didn't have a different, you know, path to you, or, you know, I had the exact same choices. It was all there in front of me. You know, every day, you know, it was, the temptation was there, but I mean, I didn't. I said no. I said, where is it going to get me? It's, you know, I think when you look at it, and it's hard to tell someone that young, like, you know, you're going to get to an age where, you know, everyone's getting on with their life, the girlfriends, their car, they're starting to save for a house. And it's hard to tell someone at that age, you know, that, because they don't want to hear it. But I think you have to start telling them early on that, you know, and look, come here, some people are damaged early and it's tough. So it's definitely something I would like to get into after fighting, you know. I definitely feel it's something I enjoy, you know, and I think I could get through to people. I'd like to get into something like that, you know.
Yeah, that's stuff. Ross, doesn't Philly McMahon do stuff like that? Your man from the Dubs.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he owns his own gym now as well. BDO 7, I think it's called. But yeah, he does a bit of a youth outreach sort of program as far as I'm aware. So like that could be Ciaran Clarke up in Drogheda. But Ciaran, let's get into the L fighting. You're obviously 3-0 now. New contract signed. How many fights do you have signed for now?
So I've signed for 6 fights now going forward. So
Oh wow, big contract. And is it a flat fee for each fight, or is it vary, or you don't? It's fine if you say you don't want to discuss the pay. Some people
Yeah,
don't want to discuss the pay.
we won't get into that, we'll say.
Okay, fair enough. And do you have any future dates lined up? Do you know when? Is there another European series on the rise for Bellator, or has that been
Uh,
discussed?
to be honest, lads, I'm in the dark about that. It's just like ourselves. It's as we know, it's uncertain times at the minute. Like it's, I didn't expect Ireland to go on lockdown again. A lot of people have been telling me, but I didn't think it. So I really don't know. Being realistic, I'd imagine February, March, April. That's the kind of dates. If someone was to ask me, do I think it'll be in Ireland? I don't think so, because we're in lockdown now. I can't imagine them having 10,000 people in the Tree Arena in less than 6 months. So who knows, lads? We really don't know. And then looking at the likes of Germany and France coming back into lockdown, and we really don't know. As ourselves, like tomorrow could be changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't have it in the Tree Arena without fans there. It'll be like,
oh yeah, like
it'd just be like that, just not the same, like
Yeah, and then like a lot of people, a lot of my family mates now wouldn't be happy with that either.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I'm surprised how big venues they use. Sometimes, considering all that they have is the cage and the fighters, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
I'm surprised they don't do smaller venues like where was good? I saw recently. It was a boxing, and I think it was like Royal Albert Hall or something, or one of those halls.
The Helix would be a good spot as well for it, if they did
exactly. Yeah, although I suppose somewhere like Tree Arena has everything set up, they just like attach their cameras on and all that sort of jazz, and they know the layout of it. But look, I hope there's a European series soon. You know yourself, SBG has so many fighters. Bellator, they run Bellator Europe. Let's be honest, the lads do. But do you have any idea who you'd even like to fight next?
Oh no idea, guys. To be honest, I'm not that type that's going to call anyone out. Or I mean, you know me by now. I'm sure that I'm not that type of person, and whoever you put in front of me, I'll sign it, because I'm at the level now where I can't. I'm in Bellator now. There's no building. I'm at the big stage. So whoever they put in front of me, I'll fight. And I've always been like that, as you can see in my amateur record. I'm sure he's looked at, and I've fought everyone. I haven't said no to anyone. So I mean, if it makes sense, I'll do it. And again, yeah, whoever they put in front of me, and I'm not looking too far ahead either. I'm just taking each fight as it comes, and I'm not one of these guys that's at this stage, like, I'm screaming to be saying I'm going to be world champion. No, I'm just taking each fight as it comes, beat the man in front of me, and I think if I live by that, I think it shouldn't go too bad.
Have you always been like that, or does that come from like the team that you have around you with SBG?
Yeah, well, John would be very like that as well. Like, he'd be, a big thing, like, which I learned at the amateurs as well. Like, and being on the mat as well. Like, don't live and die on the mat. Like, if someone gets the better of you one day, don't go home and dwell on it. Or if someone, if you beat someone one day, or don't dwell on that, because at the end of the day, forget what I heard before. It's not me that's good. It's the technique. I've just trained for 9 years, and it's not personal to you. So I suppose John would be definitely like that. As you can see as well, he's vocal on Twitter and stuff. He'd be saying all this. So that's the kind of voice he has in the gym. And as well as that, come back to like the amateurs. I just was so focused on being a world champion and to medal at these tournaments, and I didn't. And look what's after happened. Look where I am now. So I mean, you can't live and die in the cage or in these situations. So I suppose if it's going well for me at the moment.
Yeah, like if you look at like Tyson Fury, for instance, who, like, his sole goal was becoming the heavyweight champion of the world. Then he achieved that, and then he just went off. He just lost the head, because like he reached his life goal, and he's like, now what? But like maybe by you not actually meddling, then you're like, right, going to push yourself even further.
Exactly. No, I think that's what did happen. Look at Tyson Fury. That was his goal since he was 15, and then he got there, and he was like, right, what's next? Like, so you just have to take it for what it is. The sport. Don't get me wrong, it's my life, and only for it. Like, it's been my outlet my whole life, and basically, and like, it's you just take it for what it is. It's the sport.
Quick question for you. Just a teammate of yours, James Gallagher. Did you see he challenged Sean O'Malley to Underground and Sean O'Malley turned it down. Did you see that, and what are your thoughts on it?
I seen that. Yeah, I didn't know the heights of it, lads. To be honest, I seen James was putting up a tweet or something, and he said he'd do it. So I thought that'd be interesting, but I didn't know he turned it down, O'Malley. I thought that was all just a bit of rumor, and I didn't really know the ins and outs of it. But that's a mad one now. And like, for one thing, I would say about James, like, some people like might watch his fights and they think it's only when you're on the mat with James you really feel how good he is, you know. And he's really, really good in the mat. And I think when you watch his fights, people can look at it and they say, oh no, like, I mean, there's nothing special he's doing now, but it's the jiu-jitsu he's doing. It's clinical stuff, and it's only when you go and you feel it. And yeah, personally, I think O'Malley's in a purple or blue or purple, like, and James is he's a wizard on the mat, like. So I think I think it'd be handy enough for him, for James, to be honest. I think he'd have him, like.
I just want to see them go have a bit of back and forth. I think it would absolutely be brilliant. The lead up would be more exciting than the actual grapple itself.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, think about it, like, James with Bellator, he's a UFC. It probably never happened, you know. So it'd be a bit of crack, like.
Oh, absolutely. And give us your prediction for McGregor Poirier 2, and will it be for UFC gold?
I reckon it'll probably be for the interim title. I think they'll probably do that, you know, make a bit of a buzz around it, I'd say. So it'd be smart as well, I think. And then what do I think? I think probably first or second round Conor again, you know. I think the two of them have immensely improved. But again, you know, if you're a striker in that division, Conor's the sniper, as you know. And if you're standing with him, I think you know, you're going out. So I think it'd be a little bit more competitive this time. But yeah, I think Conor catches him and puts him away. Yeah.
And what does 2021 hold for Ciaran Clarke?
Well, hopefully next year 3 fights. Hopefully, with COVID-19 and all this going on, we get by and you know, get our 3 fights in next year. You know, maybe one February, March, one this summer, and then again maybe around this time next year. That's what I'd like to have for next year anyway.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Basmo, any other questions?
Oh, I was just going to say, Ciaran, like, thanks for like going into depth a bit about like just your upbringing as well, and just what's going on around the area and what you stand for. Because like, I'm sure the people checking this out now are like, fucking hell, that's class. Because like, it's not every day.
Yeah, no, it's the first time I've ever kind of got the chance to go fully into that. I never really, you know, I've only kind of got 2-3 minutes after a fight, and I never really got the chance to. And again, like, it could be a longer video, but yeah, cheers, lads. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, man. Guys, if you have enjoyed Ciaran, we'll make sure to leave all his handles to follow him on social media and hear how he's getting on. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always,
stay energized. All right, so Ross, that was Ciaran Clarke on the show. I didn't know we were going to get that deep about that situation, but like, it's amazing to hear that he like stands for something so real and something that really affects everyone, really. Well, not everyone, but like, it's everyone somehow, you know.
Yeah, but he's a good guy and he's making a difference, and I suppose they're the two main things that matter.
Yeah, well, that's why I fucking love doing the show, man. The people you get on, the stories you hear, and Jesus, great thing to do. But yeah, if you are enjoying the show, make sure to like and subscribe. And Ross, I think we should put the Movember link down in the description as well if you want to donate towards Movember. We already have people.
Lovely cash.
Yeah, Ross is winning. But Ross, we may as well finish off with Bellator and then go into the UFC action as well. So we'll finish off with Bellator during the week. Here we go.
Gegard Mousasi beat Douglas Lima by decision to win the middleweight belt, which he had previously lost to Lovato Jr. Yeah. Look, I think it sort of played out as we thought it would. Lima caused some big problems with the leg kicks, but at the end of the day, Mousasi was able to take him down and sort of have his way with him on the ground. Yeah, we sort of thought the skill sets matched each other, but the size difference was going to be in Mousasi's favour. That's how it played out.
I'd love to see Douglas Lima go to the UFC at some stage, right? Obviously, Bellator don't want to do that, but Gegard Mousasi ended up leaving. He was flying home in a wheelchair.
Yeah, those leg kicks are absolutely vicious. They're the welterweight versions of Justin Gaethje's leg kicks or Edson Barboza's leg kicks. Like, they're that good for those people who are not familiar with Bellator. He's one of the best welterweights in the world. I would love to see him fight, a Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, Colby Covington, Wonderboy Thompson, Kazmet Chimaev, any of those guys.
Yeah.
I'd love to see how he does against them, because I believe he is one of the elite welterweights in the world.
Yeah. Then this Thursday, Bellator is on Bellator 251. Melvin Manhoef is taking on Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson is making his debut in Bellator. That's
an interesting debut for Corey Anderson, and it's quite a dangerous one, really, because I know he'll be the heavy favourite there. He's come over from the UFC, but he has been known to be knocked out before, and Melvin Manhoef is not someone who you really want to fight when your chin has been suspect before. And also, Melvin Manhoef is going to go for this straight away because he knows Anderson's going to try and take him down and make the game over. So Manhoef's going to come with a big strike to start off with, where Anderson's going to take him down, pummel him. There are the two options. I think Anderson will probably win, though.
Yeah, I'd go for Anderson as well. Also, Austin Vanderford is on the card. He was meant to fight someone, but they dropped off, so I'm not sure what the situation is, but he is still on the card. And I also saw the page.
Isn't he?
Sorry?
I think he's like 9-0 now or something, isn't he?
No, yeah. I saw Paige put out a video saying like fight week or something. So that must like obviously Austin.
Mr. Van Zandt.
Mr. Van Zandt. Yeah, so like Bellator Thursday, go crack. What you can't really go wrong. But Ross, obviously over the weekend, Anderson Silva took on Uriah Hall. Supposedly this was meant to be Anderson Silva's retirement fight, and then after he's like, who knows? Ross, at 45, do we want to see Anderson Silva go again? Like, what do we want to see?
I actually wouldn't be against seeing Anderson Silva go outside UFC and some sort of like Legends Fight League fighting someone else of his caliber and his age, because I think he still loves to do it. Put it this way: if Anderson Silva wanted to fight Vitor Belfort or Rashad Evans, I'd be like, grand. In like their own sort of Legends Fight League, or if he did like an MMA fight in a ring on like one of Mike Tyson's cards, something along those lines, I would like, why not? Like, it's a bit of crack. Or what about Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen 3 on a Mike Tyson card? Like that, I'd be interested. You know what I mean? I'd watch it. I want to see Anderson Silva like try and make a run for the belt in Bellator or something? No, I don't want to see him do that. But we'll see how he gets on. I wouldn't mind seeing him return. One thing I did think was interesting is Anderson Silva made his debut at like 31.5 and Khabib retired from the UFC at 32. So like, if you actually think of how good Anderson Silva's career was, he actually only started his UFC journey at the same age Khabib retired at. And when you put it like that, that sounds pretty outrageous.
Yeah, like the UFC wasn't the UFC until he came as well.
Who?
Anderson Silva.
Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think anything below 205 wasn't looked upon with any sort of, brilliance. And then Anderson Silva showed up and I was like, I think he could beat all the 205ers. And he went up and he did beat some of the 205ers as well. Like at his leisure, he went up and like beat James Irvin and then came back down. And then he went back up and was like, Forrest Griffin, actually, I'll beat him and then beat him. And like, Forrest Griffin went on to win the belt as well, so it's not like he was beating chumps.
Yeah. Conor McGregor tweeted after the fight saying, yeah, just keep fighting, stop when you want to stop. That's like, and that's actually a good point. I know we've said in previous shows, like someone like Junior Dos Santos, we were like, oh, maybe he should retire, man. Like the amount of like punches he's have to get into the head, like it can't be okay. But like then after when you read that tweet, you're sort of like, you know what, like, who the fuck are we to tell people what to do and not do? I know we're not physically saying it to their face, like Joe Rogan told Brendan Schaub to stop, but like, if they want to keep going, they want to keep going. But like, I think when we sort of say maybe they should retire, it's more like you don't want to see them get like brain damage at the end of the day. It's more that sort of rather than.
Well, I think when we say retire, as in like stop fighting the absolute elite of the elite who like could shorten your lifespan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, more like
we're like compete against, someone a bit older who's around your age bracket. Put it this way. Anderson Silva fighting Israel Adesanya again would like be dreadful for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to, I don't know, if he fought Vitor Belfort over in Japan.
I love
He
how
could go fight one FC against Vitor Belfort. I'd be interested in that.
I love how you keep just saying Vitor Belfort's name. Like, you're stirring the pot, mate. Like,
Well, it's a trail on as well, and people will be interested in that.
I know it. Well, let's see what happens. Like, I mean,
I really feel like he should have retired against Chris Weidman, though. My mate.
yeah, I think.
Also, if that was a 3-round fight, Anderson Silva might have won as well.
True. Also, he lit Bisping up as well. I think, like, if Anderson Silva, there could be a role for him within the UFC, being at events and stuff, you know, the way, like, Royce Gracie is for Bellator. Maybe there's something like that. But
Or
Ross,
could he do other Brazilian events? Like, I'm sure they need a Portuguese analyst.
Yeah.
A Portuguese-speaking analyst.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. I mean, Anderson Silva is a draw no matter what. Like,
also, he didn't look in bad shape. I've seen him definitely look in worse shape.
I know, and he was doing it right. He was doing it right the first couple of rounds as well until he got finished. But Ross, also on the card, Bryce Mitchell defeated Andre Touchy-Fili.
Yeah, Bryce Mitchell's gone on a serious run. He looks like he could be a future featherweight contender. The only thing I will say is watching him fight this fight and maybe like slow my horse on him a little bit. Touchy-Fili is quite good. He's always verging around that like number 15 slot in the featherweight rankings. But I think Bryce Mitchell now should like sort of fight maybe one more fight out of the rankings and then sort of slowly ascend his way up. He is young.
What didn't you like?
It wasn't just that I didn't like it. I just think he's not quite up there with your Volkanovskis, your Holloways, your Brian Ortegas, and like that's where he's going to have to try and get to. I just don't feel like his
striking,
and then like I think once he gets to the mat, it's incredible.
Yeah,
but like I don't think his takedowns are phenomenal yet. If that makes sense, I feel like they're a bit forced. They're not as fluid.
I get you.
So I think he's maybe 3 or 4 fights away from getting there. But for his benefit, how he can then actually make that challenge.
I might be stirring some shit now, right? But after the fight, he went to the press conference and he said that he doesn't know if he should or shouldn't say this, but he's just going to say it. He was saying that he doesn't think people should be wearing masks. So he went by loads of kids and they were all wearing masks when they were playing out in the field for recess, you'd call it. But and I was just like, yeah, I mean,
you benefit nothing from saying that.
Yeah, it's almost like saying who you're going to vote for. Like,
yeah,
but like, I think you should.
You're just going to piss someone off one way or the other.
Yeah, you're just going to piss someone off. Like, I think you should just wear a mask, just almost out of courtesy. You know what I mean? It's like, but like, I mean, some people might be like, no, don't wear a mask. But like, I mean, we'll move on.
At the end of the day, I'm just like, if it means that no one's like pissed off me for no reason, then I'll just wear a mask. It's grand. It's whatever.
That's it. Oh, man, I'm the same buzz as well. I'll just mention a few other people that won over the weekend as well. Craig Hardy won after what should have been a super heavyweight fight. Kevin Holland won as well, and then Bobby Green was defeated. But Ross, we'll go into this weekend's card. Give
it to me.
It is being headlined by Thiago Santos against Glover Teixeira. Ross, before we get into this, actually, Dana White did announce that he is planning on setting up Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight title. So this is serious implications about with this fight here, Thiago Santos against Glover. But Ross, what you make of that? Jan Blachowicz and Israel Adesanya.
Well, Well, firstly, just start off with this weekend. The Glover Thiago Santos fight I think this is like the third time it's been remade. I think like Glover got COVID, then Thiago got COVID, and this is like the third time it's been moved.
Okay.
But I think when the Jan versus Dominic Reyes fight was like picked for that's who's going to compete for the belt. I think people looked at this fight and went, well, the winner of that fight is going to fight the winner of that fight, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost think UFC made a blunder, and they'll probably have less viewers this weekend because of it. If they actually waited till after this weekend to announce Adesanya versus Blachowicz, I think more people would have been interested to see if Santos could put on another amazing performance and go, he should fight Jan Blachowicz next. But now that they've gone and done this is like, I suppose this is the super fight that no one asked for. The middleweight champ versus the light heavyweight champ. And look, if Adesanya wins, great move by the UFC. If Adesanya gets knocked out, you're just after knocking your biggest star, and you're after knocking your biggest star with probably your second or maybe your least biggest star out of the champions.
Yeah.
I would say like it's between Figueiredo and Jan Blachowicz, who's less of a star as champion of UFC.
Would you say this? I know the light heavyweight division is all over the place now because of John Jones leaving, and everyone's sort of like nearly everyone was coming off a loss, so you couldn't really hand them the title. But would you say this is more than likely the number one contender spot for the light heavyweight title?
I would imagine so, but the only thing is that with the way things are going, although Adesanya, one thing I will say in his favour is he does like to stay busy, but like that title fight's probably not going to take place unless it happens at UFC 256. It's not going to happen to UFC 258. So like that's a long way down the road. And Thiago Santos or Glover Teixeira, if they both win, they might have to fight again. And if I was Glover Teixeira, I'd definitely try and hold out for a title shot, because at the end of the day, he's really getting on now. He must be 40 odd now, as opposed to Thiago Santos. If he wins, he might go, you know what, I'll fight one more time.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. But I'll just see what else is on the card. Arlovsky's back against Tanner Boser.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very tough one for Arlovsky. I think his boxing and his movement has been really good recently. Like he's gone to the distance quite a lot. Now they haven't all gone his way, but Tanner Boser, I think his footwork for heavyweight is incredible, and I think he actually will get the TKO this time.
This is your number one prospect in the heavyweight division, isn't it?
He's definitely up there between himself and the French guy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He's fighting Junior Santos next.
Yeah. Then Ian Heinisch is taking on Brendan Allen as well. And the ever good-looking Claudia Gadet is on the card as well. But, Ross, before we wrap things up, during the week there was also the press conference for Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. as well. That's going to be something interesting coming on later on this month. Yeah,
it really, really is. I'm excited to see.
Who's not going to check that out?
Yeah, I'm excited to see the production of it. I'm excited to see Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson. Is it Robinson?
Yeah, Team 10.
Yeah, but like I really expect Nate to win, because I'm like, he was actually an athlete, if you know what I mean, as opposed to. I don't want to say Jake Paul's not an athlete, because he's in very good shape and he is quite athletic, but like this guy was a professional sportsman.
Yeah.
So like I would expect him to win, but we'll see. And there's a few other good fighters on the card. What's your man Coulter? Rashad Coulter's fighting on the card as well.
Yeah, former. He was in the UFC.
He was in the UFC, yeah. He was a heavyweight in the UFC.
Yeah, he's fighting Vidal Riley, the guy who coached KSI.
Yeah, so he's fighting on the card. And there's someone else on the card I can't think of right now.
Badu Jack.
Yeah, Badu Jack, who's definitely the best boxer on the card.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting card, isn't it?
Yeah, I can really see Mayweather headlining one of these next.
Oh, yeah?
With a bit of an undercard, yeah. And like he said, he's only going to fight non-boxers going forward, Mayweather was. And he'd happily fight MMA fighters, though. So
Give me a name. Henry Cejudo.
Mayweather, Khabib.
No, Khabib's too big. Cejudo?
Yeah, you could do Cejudo. Although I think Cejudo is going to end up fighting your man. Is it Lopez? No, Garcia.
All right.
Ryan Garcia. I think that's going to happen.
The Mike Tyson against Roy Jones Jr. fight is on the 28th of November. So that's a few weeks away. We'll be definitely covering things up until then. Ross, over the weekend as well, Usyk beat Chisora by decision, and also Gervonta.
That makes him the mandatory, doesn't it?
I don't know what the story is there now.
I feel like mandatory doesn't even mean anything anymore, because Dillian White was mandatory for 18 months. He never got to fight for the actual world title. So we'll see what the story is. I think they're very much going out of their way now to try and make Fury versus Joshua.
Yeah.
So I think Usyk could definitely fight the winner there, or I wouldn't be surprised if he fought the winner of Povetkin versus White in the meantime.
Usyk's very undersized in that division, you know?
Oh, he is, yeah.
I thought he was going to be a knockout artist, but no.
I knew he was going to be undersized, but I didn't. I actually expected him to be a bit beefier, because I felt like he didn't beef up that much from cruiserweight. Yeah. He obviously made cruiserweight quite handily.
He is such a character. It reminds me of Verdum. Remember Verdum doing all the faces and stuff?
He's an elite talent, put it that way, one way or the other. So he's an interesting addition to the heavyweight division. And look, I think Chisora, that was one of the best Chisoras you'll ever see fighting him, and he still handled him quite well.
Yeah, she sort of looked very good.
Mm.
But Ross, I think like obviously bar the Champions League coming back and the Six Nations, I think that's everything really, isn't it? Until next week, because next weekend, obviously this weekend is like Santos and Glover, and then obviously Corey Anderson against Melvin Manhoff on Thursday, and then like the following week, like Reece McKee is going to be fighting again on UFC. Kay Taylor's back, and like the show continues.
Next thing you know, it'll be UFC 255. We'll be back in the pay-per-view business.
Yeah, and Jack Manson could be on the show next week. Who knows?
Yeah, Jack Manson's meant to be lined up, the Joker. So, guys, on that note, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always,
stay energized.